This is Dan McCarty, four-time Stanley Cup champion, Detroit Red Wings, Lemieux killer, Stanley Cup winning goal guy. You're listening to SportsRadioDetroit.com.
Spinning the wheels. Welcome to Pucking Around here on Sports Radio Detroit. This is a special version of our normal recording as both Goalie Man and Franchise are present with me. How are you guys today?
Doing fantastic. I like the setup in here. This is beautiful.
Great to be here.
Yeah, they're both in SRD Studios, and we are here to talk about what has become, as Steve put it, a much more exciting NHL free agency than any of us could have anticipated in terms of exciting and also really stupid. Justin, you don't have to be afraid to take things out of your pocket. The listeners know we have pockets. I think they're okay with it.
Just trying to not make too much excess noise over here.
You're good. You're good.
We're
you know
used
what?
to being in our own little studios, like slamming doors and muting our mics, like cussing at somebody out the door, and then coming back and being like, "Yeah, we signed him for $9 million."
Yeah, you come back and you
Shutting
turn off
my
mic.
dog up.
Shut up! Just shut up now. Anyway, so what I think was that the Joe Phillips signing was a little bit too much. God damn! Like you can mute. We don't have that ability in the studios here, but what you do have is a little bit more interaction, much higher quality audio for sure because you don't have the Skype feed.
Yeah,
and we're gonna have a little more fun with it, and we can extend the show because we don't have the time limit of which one of our internet's going to go out at any given time.
Right.
Steve, rip.
Hey, you know what? To be fair, it's usually me. Let's just be fair on this one. Not all of us have gig down and gig up, Mr. Indianapolis.
Anyways, coming all the way from Indy to do a podcast.
That's dedication. Yeah, 100%. We could never get that from any other co-hosts. But let's jump right in because, I mean, this was the summer of, I mean, to be honest, the summer of bad contracts. Is that a fair place to start?
I would say the summer of GMs losing their effing minds and throwing money at everything. They're like, oh, the cap's going to go up $1.5 million. Let's overpay everybody a good $6 million per year.
Yeah, looking over it, though, there are some value contracts there.
I would agree there, definitely. I think the Shattenkirk was probably the best one.
I was going to say, let's right off the rip, let's get to Kevin Shattenkirk. He signed with, as everybody anticipated, he signed with the New York Rangers.
Did we not call that? Or did we not call that?
I think everyone and their mother called that deal, though.
I heard Buffalo, though, was in. Buffalo was in on that.
Yeah, because he just wants to be in the Northeast. Boston was also in it for a hot second, but
doesn't surprise me.
It was always going to be New York. Like, let's not mince words here. It was always going to be New York, and you can tell by the numbers. This is a guy who commanded a first-round pick and a couple of top-tier prospects who signs for 4 years, $26.6 million with a 6.65 annual cap hit for a top-tier defenseman. I mean, could either of you guys have seen a better deal? Like, I would kill to have a player that good for that cheap.
And that term of contract.
I think the thing I like the most about this deal is the term. So he's 28. Is he 28 or 29? Either way,
28.
He's 28. So he's got 4 or 5 good more years of elite
prime,
elite play.
Prime, yeah.
So to get him at 4 years. The price is whatever. He was going to get that regardless of whether it was 4 years or 8 years. He was still going to get that AAV. So I just like that term. So that way, I mean, he kind of boned himself there because his next contract's not going to be as big, like guaranteed.
Yeah, it's one of those deals that's like team complimentary but not player complimentary.
Yeah, I would agree. But that just shows his character, I guess, and that was just something that the St. Louis Blues took into question was actually his character. That's one of the reasons they didn't have a problem trading him because he was so adamant about going somewhere else. They didn't want him on a team anymore, so they're like, he's not team oriented. And then he goes out and signs this kind of a deal with a team that, if we're looking at it, is a decent team moving forward. I mean, they have the goaltending. Their defense is what needed the upgrade. Their offense is decent. They still have Rick Nash. They have Voss. They have a lot of young players on that team that just need the offensive push to push them over. And I think that's the one thing in the playoffs that we saw, that the Rangers didn't do well was score goals after the first round.
The Rangers have still, and it's worth noting to complement our discussion, they're working with $5.5 million in cap space still to go, and they do have to sign Mika Zibanejad, who is a restricted free agent. His current cap hit is lost on my screen. It is somewhere. There it is. It's 3.25.
So he's probably looking at about 4.
He's probably looking at the 4 territory, so they should be able to sign him. I don't know if they have any other moves planned. There has been some sneaky under the radar moves, but I did not know that about Shattenkirk in St. Louis. I didn't know his work ethic was called into play.
Yeah,
Called into question. Sorry.
Definitely. Yeah, that was the one thing I remember reading about it during the trade deadline, that a lot of they didn't have a problem moving him because he was there for a while before that, so it's like they had good use out of him, but he was basically going out and saying, I want to be on a team that's contending. And you kind of don't say that about a team that's probably, the second best team in the Central Division?
Yeah, now third.
Third, yeah.
And Nashville had their coming out party.
St. Louis had such a weird year. They had so much potential at the beginning of the year. They won a bunch of games, and then they just lost a lot of games real quick. They had streaky losing series. So it's like, I can understand his thought process. He wants to be maybe closer to home and on a contending team. I wouldn't put the Rangers as a contender, though. They're a playoff team, but they're not a contending team. It's not even a debate.
Yeah, now that you have Lundqvist as getting up there in age, you
got like maybe a 2 or 3 year window. That's why he probably signed for 4 years. It makes sense.
I think I've said it in all of our previous recordings. I'm not a big believer in the Rangers. I haven't been in all of their all of their machinations to build an offensive defense and trading for Brendan Smith. They don't seem to know what they're doing. And yeah, you have good pieces, but
you know what's crazy too?
What?
Smith is going to be Shattenkirk's partner. How much you want to bet? I'm calling it right now.
God, that's like
Shattenkirk's a right-handed shot and Brendan Smith's a lefty.
Fuck.
That's your top pairing probably right now.
No, they'd put McDonough with him.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
I feel like McDonough's going to get that pairing.
I would put McDonough with him.
Smart.
I wouldn't trust Smith with another offensive defenseman. That's a recipe for disaster. That's like breakaway central ready to happen right there.
True, yeah.
Both of them be pinching at the same time and be like,
bro, they're gonna be on the fucking face-off dot, and then you're just gonna see the enemy team just with like a 4-on-0.
Oh, what's this? A 3-on-0?
Oh, isn't that convenient? Wow, I'm sure glad I'm playing the Rangers and they're no defense. But that's the thing. I don't trust. I don't know if I don't trust the GM because of his moves. Rick Nash having like one of the biggest contracts in the league. I don't trust the coaching and their ability to rein in their defense, and I don't trust the players. Like, they just don't have the depth to me. They got a lot of shiny pieces, but when push comes to shove, they lost to Ottawa in 6.
That's tough
Ottawa.
to say. It's tough
they
to
lost
say.
To Ottawa.
That's tough to say though, because Ottawa took Pittsburgh to 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah,
but we got to give them a little bit more credit than we do.
I won't. I refuse to.
I think Ottawa's like a motherfucker.
I think Ottawa's a fraud.
Yeah, I think it was.
I want to say
run.
the same thing, but they've proven me wrong 2 years in a row. It's just kind of hard not to.
I know. It's just you look at Ottawa's, and not to take away from the conversation here, but you look at Ottawa's roster outside of Carlson and maybe Mark Stone, Bobby Ryan. Who would you actually want on that team?
They have DNF enough, so no, just kidding.
I was just about to say, all right, you're done. Go home.
The pylon himself.
Welcome to the live show where Steve gets sent home. Where Ottawa didn't sign anybody on July 1. They signed it.
They didn't. I don't think they even had cap room really to sign.
They signed Danny Taylor and Nate Thompson, who I think were already on their team.
I think Nate Thompson was on the Ducks.
Oh, okay.
I thought so too. Yeah.
They also signed Ben Sexton, whoever that is.
Those are probably draft picks. That's my guess,
yep.
Except for Thompson.
Eric Bergdorfer. Tyler Randall, Max Reinhart. These are all nobodies. Like, they signed nobody.
Those are probably entry-level deals after the draft is my guess.
Probably, yeah. You're probably about right. I don't see any big signings by Ottawa, so they must think they have it figured out too. Anyways, let's jump into another. You know what? We started with the best signing. Do you guys think? Can anybody think of anything better? I thought that was kind of universally agreed upon best signing.
I would say that's probably the best team signing.
Bang for your buck.
Yeah. Probably the best.
Are you trying to go controversial, or are you trying to go...
No. That's the other side. The other side is going to be the shittiest signing.
Oh, okay.
Which I think we will have an argument about, or a discussion about. Because it's up for debate. It's
Yeah.
either Patrick Marleau to Captain Canada's team over here for all of the money for way too many years, or it's Joe Thornton to San Jose for all of the money for 1 year. Either way, I don't think either of those teams is going to be winning that contract. I think they're both going to be regretting their contracts for sure. I think Toronto stands to gain more because I feel like Marlowe's a good guiding voice for that rookie core.
I think Toronto wins year 1, maybe year 2, but I think year 3 they're going to be hating that contract.
I think they're already hating it because there's currently 1.8 over cap.
You got to remember off season.
I do.
You got to be.
I haven't
like
forgotten that.
You can't keep going. Well, they're won this like that. That's irrelevant until September.
No. I'm not saying it in the sense of like they're not cap legal. I'm not saying like, oh my god, what if they're over cap?
They're not the Chicago Blackhawks.
But I'm saying, yeah. Well, nobody suddenly has an allergy either. But I'm saying it in the sense of because they made this move, they now have to make another move. You know what I mean? It's not like you signed a veteran to fill a hole. You signed a veteran and put yourself in the hole.
But the hole isn't anything they can't dig themselves out of instantly.
You're right. No. You're right. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying.
I don't think adding Patrick Marleau is a negative in any aspect to that lineup and that team. You have Austin Matthews in your second year. You have all these rookies in their second year that need. And with the one thing they lacked last year, what they tried to do with Brian Boyle was a skating centerman to play number 2. Mm-hmm. Now they have Patrick Marleau, who could play center or he could play left wing or right wing. I think it's left wing, but that just adds more depth to their lineup. They can actually slot a guy in there who can still skate really well for his age. He's probably the best skating guy around that age.
He really is. I think he skates really well still.
And that's the one thing. He's probably one of the smartest hockey players that like you can play with. Like he's up there. He's not going to dazzle you with a lot of points. Like if he comes out and gets like 15 to 20 goals this year playing with Austin Matthews, I'd be impressed. I'd be like, is it worth $6 million? Probably not. But you know what? You're the Maple Leafs. You got to make some kind of a splash. You got to add something. And when you're paying a guy like that, you're gonna overpay a little bit. That's just how it is, unfortunately.
You're probably getting $20 million for him. I'm sorry, 20. You're probably getting 20 goals out of him.
That's what I'm thinking.
I said that completely wrong.
Yeah,
I'm reading.
Million, I'm like, wait, what?
Well, I'm reading contracts. I'm trying to see what centers are available. Because you said that they needed a good veteran center. There is nothing. You're absolutely right. Like
he was the best option.
Yeah,
aside from Joe Thornton.
You want to go sign fucking Brooks like there's not anybody
who they just had.
Yeah, there's not anyone
buried
available
in the AHL.
Yeah, his cap last year was $4 million in the AHL, scoring exactly 0 points.
And that's the one thing too. If they really needed
I suppose
to,
you could sign Mike Ribeiro.
That's the thing too. Like if they needed to, they could even slot him down in the 3 spot. Like he could play top line wing, he could play second line center, or he could play third line center, depending. Because as we know, they have Tyler Bozak still, and they have Austin Matthews, so that's really going to be interesting how they slot it. But
isn't Kadri a center too?
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like you can play Marleau anywhere right now.
Yeah, no, they're really. I mean, Toronto's depth chart is really deep. Like,
and especially on the defensive side of it too, they have some defense. They signed Ron Hazy too, which I think they overpaid for that a little bit as well. But Ron Hazy just won a Stanley Cup, and you know
that buys in the NHL.
Story of the offseason.
That's what I'm saying. You win a Stanley Cup and you get the contract. That's just kind of how it works.
If we're being fair, Pittsburgh's defense was, or a defensive core as a whole was woefully
inadequate.
Understaffed. You could say.
Yeah,
like you've got, when you've got a guy like Trevor Daley and a guy like Ron Hainsey out there, and you still win a cup, and you're missing your
Without
number one
Letang,
defender.
yeah.
Like I guess it says something. So.
And they still have Ali Mata.
So I guess he can
still
still
have all these
play.
other guys.
So that's what I'm saying. I guess Hainsey and Daley can still play.
Yeah, definitely.
They could have signed Yager. Could have got him for less. He definitely would have been a good guy for them.
I don't see Yager playing in Toronto. I just don't. He doesn't fit Mike Babcock's MO. Like, that just not... And I heard part of the reason... This is a funny story. I heard part of the reason that Joe Thornton potentially didn't sign in Toronto is because they have a no-beard rule.
Are you serious?
Yes. Lou Lamoriello, it's like the Yankee thing. You have to be clean-shaven.
Trash.
They want the same...
Trash.
Yeah.
I fucking hate that.
That's one of the reasons I heard that he potentially didn't sign there, because he would have had to shave.
You better,
if you're Joe fucking Thornton, you make an exception.
You better be glad... You better be glad yourself personally, franchise, that this isn't a video podcast, because you have one of Toronto's logos, not the hockey team.
I have the worst team right now,
but you have the worst. Yeah, you have a Toronto affiliated logo and you have a beard, so you better watch out.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a baseball shirt, so we're okay.
Yeah, you're right. Hey, don't flip any bats in my house, dude. Chill out. He just threw a 1 liter bottle at my wall. I don't know why. I got to fight him now. Justin, throw that high heater next pitch. Next time you get a chance. So,
Yeah,
anyways,
I got you.
It's like you almost knocked out and not know where the hell I am.
So, anyways, segueing into the other bad signing, Joe Thornton, 1 year, and I hate to say this, like audibly, $8 million.
Dude,
Like, what is
making
this?
Ovechkin money.
What is this? 2004?
Like that, yeah, that's an 04 Joe Thornton contract. Like, what are we doing here? Why? Like, what?
How old is Joe Thornton? He's like what? 38.
He's 38 years
He's
old.
38.
Yeah. Woof.
Yeah, woof. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and the thing is, he only put up 50 some points last year.
And you know what's crazy? He's not even the best player on the team.
Who is? To you,
Pavelski.
It's Pavelski. Okay.
Yeah,
I would, yeah.
It's
or their goalie, Martin
Pavelski.
Jones.
I was gonna say it's Martin Jones, and he got paid too. I forget how much he got, but he got paid. I can find him in the page. Can you guys stall while I search? for
Sure,
him?
why not?
Cool.
I mean, what's your thoughts on Joe Thornton for that amount? Like, I think that's kind of insane. I think their GM over there, Ron Wilson, has lost his F and mind, but that's not here or there.
I have the number if you're ready
think,
for it.
I think Joe Thornton is. I mean, he is the face of the Sharks and has been for the past few years. But at the same point in time, it's like the dude's 38. And he's coming off some knee injuries, and he's coming off the worst statistical season of his career, basically since his rookie year. Why the $8 million? Like, 38 years old, worst statistical season, 4? I mean, maybe 5 on a legacy deal. Like, okay, cool, you're a good Shark. You've been a great Shark. We'll give you 5, 5.5, but 8?
That is straight up a Red Wings move.
8?
Like, that is a Red Wings move, usually. Real quick, Martin Jones got 6 years, $34.5 million with a cap hit of $5.75 million.
Deserving.
He got paid.
Deserving.
And
I mean,
right under him, same day announcement, Marc-Edouard Vlasic got signed with San Jose. 8 years, $56 million, $7 million a year. Cap
Deserving.
hit. Also got paid.
Yes, deserving.
Is he?
I would say.
Vlasic's a good defenseman.
Yeah.
I don't know his numbers off the top of my head.
I don't know his
San Jose is
numbers
not a
either,
team
but I know
think
he's a good
about.
He's
defenseman.
as good, and I'm pretty sure he's a draft pick of San Jose. Like, he's not played for any other team that I can think of.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So, like, it's like they're doing the Pittsburgh thing. They're paying their draft pick.
And he's probably their best defenseman.
I would say, yeah. I mean, the thing with like San Jose is like name more than one defenseman than Edward Vlasic.
I mean, I
probably can't.
I could. It was Schlemko, but he got taken.
That's what I mean. So it's like,
Yeah.
like their defensive core, they need that one guy to really play a lot of minutes and anchor. Every team needs that, but San Jose especially does because their forwards turn the puck over so relentlessly, and then they got to pay their goaltender to stop the puck. Like, it just makes sense. The Joe Thornton thing for me is like, I've heard a lot of it is because Marlowe left, so they just kind of dumped more money that they would have had to sign both of them. But can you think of it? Like Marlowe for 6 and Joe Thornton for 8, like they wouldn't have any cap room at. They wouldn't have been able to sign Martin Jones, or for that probably would have been $4 or $5 million off his. You know, like.
Well, here's the thing. Marlowe's the smart one here.
Yeah,
Marlowe left.
Oh, yeah.
Marlowe's the smart one here. He realizes that he and Joe Thornton, if they would have stayed there on a discount, San Jose's still not going anywhere.
No,
True.
absolutely not.
I mean, I like San Jose as a team. They're a solid team. They're a solid playoff team. They just have for the past decade haven't been able to get over the hump, and that's with those two on the team.
And I think that's
and now they're older now. What makes you think that they're going to get over the hump now?
Yeah.
So Marlowe, like, deuces, see ya.
He's like,
my
I'm gonna
time
go
here,
red Austin
my time
Matthews
here is
coattail.
done. Right? Yeah. I mean,
why not?
Smart for him. I mean, but then Joe's sitting there like, fine, you leave. I'll take all the money.
Yeah, right. He's got that like, like I'm gonna get
like,
paid.
Oh, you guys were thinking about signing other players? I want all the money.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We were talking about Vlasic and their defenseman. I forget about Brett Burns. He's their best defenseman.
Yeah,
but
we
he's not,
totally
but he's
skipped
not,
over.
but he's not
getting
really a
paid, too.
defenseman, though.
He's making $8 million a year too.
He's not really a defenseman.
No, he's a right wing who's really tall and has a beard and is slotted into defense, but he's not.
That's like a forward.
Can we talk about that for 2 seconds? How he won the Vezina this year? And
Vezina, you know.
I'm sorry,
Norris?
Vezina. What is wrong with my words today?
Are we going to have an?
I'm literally just mixing them all up. Like how he won. You know how he won his fucking
It's
Cy Young award.
opposite day.
Yeah, you know how Brent Burns won the Cy Young award. Let's talk about that.
We're going to have a bloopers reel at the end of this.
Yeah, right. Just me screaming. Listen to all the times Jason clipped the microphone. But how he won the Norris Trophy as the first right wing to ever win the Norris Trophy, because
What do you mean? Didn't Carlson win one?
No, Carlson actually played defense though in the postseason. Like that's the difference.
The thing is, Carlson's block shots.
Wait.
Carlson has the.
He just admitted that Carlson plays defense and in like a positive manner. We gotta clip that somewhere.
Yes, I did.
We gotta clip that somewhere.
That's gonna be a drop.
It's gotta be.
For what it's worth, Carlson's the better defenseman, but I don't think either of them is a good defenseman.
No, you know who's a better defenseman than both of them? Victor Hedman.
The guy who came in third.
Yeah.
The guy who got like almost 0 first place votes.
Everything is points.
Everything is points. It's so irritating.
Dude, I was watching the awards.
That's how they're going to pick the fucking Vezina next year. Who scored the most assists?
I remember watching the NHL awards. We're texting back and forth as we do, and then we're just texting about it, and he goes, "It's the points," and I'm behind 2 minutes or like a minute and a half. I'm like, "Oh, Burns won."
Yeah,
I just turned it off for a minute. I'm like, "Okay, I'll switch it. I'll come back."
Because that's all they care about anymore. It's just big sexy points. Like it's irritating to no end. Let's hit another one of these big contracts as we're just kind of brisking through here. Cam Fowler, 25 years old, got 8 years, $52 million, $6.5 million from the Anaheim Ducks. Got paid.
That's an interesting one to me because they were about to trade him last year.
I know. That's where I was going to go with that. What did you guys think of it?
I mean, I get the signing because he's a good player.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you're Cam Fowler, how are you about to commit to that? Like, the team was about to trade you.
Money solves everything.
I guess.
You're that age on a team that's decent that went past the second round of the playoffs, and you still have pretty much your whole decor intact. You lost maybe one guy, I think, from the expansion.
Stoner?
Yeah.
Stoner,
yeah, they lost Stoner.
Yeah, because they were the competition from Vegas to take somebody else, and they took Stoner instead.
They lost Stoner and someone else.
Didn't they lose Theodore, too?
Yeah.
That's who it was.
Shea Theodore. It is Shea Theodore.
Shea Theodore, yeah.
I was thinking Jose in my head. I was thinking, don't say Jose. Then I said Shea, and I'm like, you said Jose. No,
what is this, 2003?
Sorry.
No, you're good. But I think Cam Fowler was just smart. They're like, well, this team's going to pay me. I might as well stay here. And you got to be honest, hockey in Southern California, that's got to be pretty sweet.
Right, and he just kind of like laid in the cut. Like all this shit happened. They move all these players. They picked their defensemen. They had that big Hampus Lindholm deal in the first half of the season. And he's just like, just here doing my job, guys. Just here doing my job.
And he was one of the best defensemen they had in the playoffs, like no question.
He was solid.
He was great.
Yeah, and it's a deal that makes sense. It's a deal that I would make any day. Like I like Cam Fowler. I like what he does.
You got to think eventually they're going to get to a Stanley Cup final because they're essentially the Vancouver Canucks from like 2011.
I never thought about it that way.
I mean, they have Ryan Miller, former Canuck. They have Ryan Kessler, former Canuck. They have Kevin Bieksa, former Canuck.
Yeah,
they are essentially the 2011 Vancouver Anaheim Canucks.
And he's doing everything you want to do as a defenseman in the last 3 years. 34, 28, 39 points. Not high on points. High 80, 69, 80 games played. He's playing a lot. That's what you want. He's
that's
25 years old, right in his prime.
That's like a deal that I don't have a problem with it, and I'm kind of happy for him because, like, not to just get sentimental, he is a local guy. I know some of his family, so like he's always been a good kid, and it's good to see him get paid, and he's playing really well. So why not?
I agree,
bro. You guys are like the same age.
I know.
Him and Cam Fowler, he's 5 years older.
Yeah.
Cam Fowler's a baby.
He's like 25.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We're all 30. We're old.
Oh, I didn't know how old Steve was, to be honest with you.
That's all good, man. I know I look like I'm 14 and a half. It's cool. I'm declaring for the OHL draft next week.
Oh, sweet. Good job.
If I shaved my beard off, yeah. I would be declaring for the
Sarnia.
OHL.
I hope you go to Sarnia.
Same.
Let's talk about a couple Dallas moves. Martin Hansel going there for 3 years at 14.25, 475. You mentioned another Dallas move too, correct?
Radulov.
You mean that guy named Alexander Radulov?
What was that again?
Oh, that was 5 years, 31.25?
Yeah, something like that.
6 and change per year.
Pretty much.
So Dallas bolstered up.
They did. And we had we played a fun game before we started. Name 5 Dallas Stars forwards before these 2 signings, and we got to 4. So it was this is what you need to do on a team like this, where Dallas has not. They got lucky with Ben, because don't tell me that's scouting. Jamie Benn was pure luck, 7th round. I believe the same with Datsuk and Zenderberg. I always have. That's luck. You like you kind of scout them to some extent,
Well,
but that they turn into this good as luck.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No.
Yeah.
You know the story with that, Zook. We were the only team that saw him because of some crazy fucking snowstorm or whatever. I mean,
right. Yeah. That's luck.
It's exactly.
And
it's
I feel
luck.
the same about Ben.
It was destiny.
But and Klingberg is.
I'm not complaining. I love
Klingberg
that.
is a good pick, but beyond Klingberg and Ben, this is a team that's built through free agency and trades. Tyler Seguin made this team a real team. Like before that, Dallas was nothing. Dallas was garbage. Then Tyler Seguin shows up and they're good.
Hey, they might have a goaltender now too.
Well, now that they
We'll
purged
see.
Niemi,
I said maybe. I said might.
who is it?
Ben Bishop.
Ben Bishop.
Oh,
The corpse of Ben Bishop.
But their backup still their combined goaltending cap hit is as much as Carey Price's new yearly contract amount.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that deal. That's another one we need to talk about.
start there. Go for it.
Carey Price.
We can make this free for him, baby.
I honestly didn't see the
Conversation.
number, but what is the number? What
10.4 mil a year.
For how many
for
years?
Carey
8
Price?
years, I thought.
8 years.
Isn't he
8.
already 29, 28?
Yeah,
That's dumb.
that's prime.
That's just what Montreal does this offseason.
No. That's what contracts in sports are these days. You catch a guy right in his prime and sign him for all of the money and all of the years.
Hey, at least it's
And
not basketball
like-
where some dude just made $100 million for 3 years and he's like a
he's like
He's
a
like a
sixth
bench
man.
guy,
He's like a
yeah.
sixth man. Yeah. No, I get it. It's the way that it is now, but I don't like it.
But
I don't like it from the team perspective because, yeah, you're getting a great player for 3, 4, maybe 5 years, and then the last 3, 4 years of the contract is trash. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's. I don't know why they've moved to. I don't know why they've moved to that. I mean,
And-
I've brought it up before. Look, we've got Zetterberg. He's at a $6 million cap hit for the rest of his career here, for the next 4 or 5 years now, and he's 36, 37. Like, you're talking all these players who are getting up there that have a cap hit of over $6 million, $7 million, and it's just like, what's that? $10 million for Price. He'll be fucking 38 years old making $10 million.
I think his deal is structured a little bit differently towards the end.
Well, okay.
I think
Okay,
it kind of slats a bit.
Well, yeah, but the cap number stays the same though.
True.
That's the thing.
Well,
about
their
these
cap
long
number next
contracts.
year, right now, or the cap number this year, as it stands right now, they have $14 million in cap space. They have to re-sign Alex Galchenyuk, from what I can see,
Unless he gets traded.
Charlie Lindgren, whoever that is, and they don't have anyone else in the top 50.
I also don't
Of
like
RFAs.
it. I also don't like it because Carey Price is injury prone.
Oh, and Andre Markov.
I mean, he's a
But
great.
when he's not
he's
injury prone, he
I
is
know.
the best goalie in the league.
I'm not going to argue that.
Inarguably, yeah.
I'm not going to argue that at all. But again, he's been injury prone through his younger years. Now he's getting
Sure.
older. What do you think that's going to do? I think he's going to be more injury prone, and you just paid him all of the money forever.
They had to, unfortunately. But the one thing is, as like a guy, if I want to contend, I'm not going to sign for all the money because it's like, even the percentages, whatever, how that works with the cap hit. Like, if I want my team to compete, like they went out and signed, they traded for Druin, and then they signed Druin for all the money on like literally a year and a half of like talent, and then it's like
5.5 mil per year for 6 years.
Yeah, exactly. So they signed that, and then they signed Carey Price for 10 point whatever. They lose
10.5.
Radulov, and then they're probably not going to be able to sign Markov. That's the other guy.
And they also have to sign Alex Galchenyuk.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like you.
They also signed Carl Elsner.
Yeah, they signed
4.6 mil.
That's the
per
one I
year
wanted
for
to talk
5
about.
years.
Thank you, Carl Elsner. I think this is funny. I was reading this article Sunday morning after he signed. Okay, on NHL.com, and he was talking about one of the main reasons he left the Capitals because they couldn't win in the playoffs. And I'm like, you signed in Montreal?
Are you fucking kidding me? Why would you sign with a team that
was
hasn't won in 2 decades?
Verbatim quoted, that's what he said. He's like, it gets frustrating continuously making the playoffs and not doing anything. So you go to Montreal?
Go to Pittsburgh.
Well, he thought he could go make a difference in Montreal.
Yeah, right. Now, to be fair, defensively, they're actually pretty deep. Shea Weber, Jeff Petrie, Carl Alsner, David Schlemko, Brandon Davidson, Jordy Ben, with Joe Morrow as your 7th. Like, defensively, they're in a good position, but their forwards drop off after the top. You got Jonathan Drouin, Thomas Plekanec. Plekanec?
Yeah.
Plekanec makes $6 million a year?
Yes.
Yup.
How did that happen?
That's lockout money.
Yup.
I don't even remember him.
That's the one point I
Did
kind
he
of wanted
play
to
in
get
Detroit
to.
at one point?
No.
I'm thinking of Kopetsky.
Yeah, that's a fall off if I've ever seen
Dude,
one.
that's why I was confused. I was like,
What is this? 2004? That's the show name.
Yeah, what is this?
What is
2004 question
that's
mark?
That's the one thing I wanted to like come back to a little bit was like, if you think about all these crazy contracts, when was the last time we saw these crazy contracts? What happened 2 years after them?
A lockout.
What is scheduled for 2020?
A lockout.
You know what's going to happen before then? Because of the Olympics?
A lockout.
That's what I'm saying. That's what
all
my
roads
problem.
lead to lockout. That's the title of the episode. Suck it.
That's my problem with these contracts. Like I get it. Guys gonna get paid. That's the sport. That's just business of sports.
You know what? Look,
I just don't like the term because it fucks the teams.
I'm gonna cut
Exactly.
I'm gonna cut you both off. I don't like any of these deals because these deals forget that this is a niche sport. All these dudes. Like, here's the thing about the NHL that I'm learning with like this deep dive project that is pucking around. The NHL is very, very, very short-sighted. Like,
it's not just
they
the
don't
NHL,
see past,
though.
Oh, no, it's the NHL and the NHLPA. But specifically, I'm talking about the NHL because the NHL suffers from something that the other four major sports suffer from, which is lack of revenue. It is the nichest of the niche sports. Combined, by the way, counting all Twitter watchers, PlayStation View watchers, Slingbox watchers, cable subscribers, and over-the-air watchers. Do you know how many people watched the expansion draft, the NHL draft, and the NHL awards? Total?
I know because I've heard you say it.
It's 2.2 million people.
It's not a lot.
Yeah, that's how many people slept through the Super Bowl. Like,
Yeah.
to put it in perspective.
But
like, so when you're talking about a niche sport with a niche audience and nobody watching, what you don't want to be doing is handing out $85 million contracts for 10 years. Like, it doesn't work. It's proven to not work. You're dead right. Like, this is not beneficial to anybody except for that player, and that's even if, like the last lockout we barely recovered from. Mm-hmm. And we're setting up to have another one. And they're digging in deep with this no Olympics thing. Let's switch jerseys every 3 years. Let's make new equipment rules. Let's have finite contracts. You know, you talk to anybody outside of this sport, and they're like, the highest paid player in your league makes $12 million a year. Are you fucking kidding me? That's garbage.
Yeah.
Like, that's garbage money.
Yeah.
That is nothing.
No. But what I'm getting at with the contracts, that like the term on these contracts, and when they start, like, it's not just hockey. Look at, I mean, I know this is very local, but look at the Tigers. What happened with Verlander at age 30? Gets a fucking, like, all of the money ever. Like, they backed the Brinks truck. Miguel Cabrera at age 30.
$200 million.
$200 million. Like, this isn't just an NHL problem. This is a sports problem. This is an entertainment problem, like a sports entertainment problem. They're paying these athletes who for what they have done instead of what they're going to do.
They're paying for, yeah, exactly. And that's the one thing
and that's my problem with it. Like, that's why I like the Shattenkirk deal so much, not to bring that back up, but they're paying him for what he has done and for what he's going to do, and not more than that. Because after 4 years, Shattenkirk's going to be 32, 33, going towards the downside of his career, and you know, if there's not another lockout, whatever, another dumb team is going to come pay him $5 million a year.
And to speak on the contract thing, like you're talking about, the GM of the Coyotes was talking about this after he made all these moves, you know, during the draft and the free agency and stuff, which I thought he did a fine job.
Under the radar, Arizona going to be
very much so. I think is doing a really good job with that core down there. He's doing tremendously. But he says, I'm in the business of paying for talent that I know about. I don't pay on potential. So it's like, you're not going to go down there in Arizona and make a crap ton of money because he knows, like, he's not going to go out there and throw a Carey Price deal at somebody because he's like, I can't trust that, which I think is really, really smart. Like, at some point, yeah, you're going to have to pay some people to get them to Arizona. That's a non-hockey market.
Right.
You're probably bottom of the barrel in the league. You're probably bottom three, at least. No offense.
Well, they've been bottom of the barrel since they've been a franchise.
Exactly. Even when they had Jeremy Roenick and, you know, all these other guys. And
right. They still got dusted by the Wings in the playoffs.
Exactly. But I think that that thought process needs to be more throughout the league, because if they don't, we're going to have these continuing lockouts. We're going to have all these continuing issues with these contracts. At some point, there's going to be a breaking point, and it's bad because it's going to ruin our sport.
Yes. It kind of already has. Like,
touche.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where we are right now. Speaking on Arizona, they did get Derek Stepan. Mm-hmm. That was the big move I'm guessing you were speaking of.
And Raanta. And they got rid of Smith, too.
Yeah, I was going to...
The Enigma.
Yeah, I was going to say Antti. That was next. And you know, Hjalmarsson. That's
the
nice
other one.
Signing.
That's a good one.
I mean, these are the guys you want to build a team around, but the problem is when Derek Stepan's your best forward, you're not looking too good, in my opinion. Derek Stepan's good. He's 27. He's good. He's making $6.5 million, but he's not a top 2 guy on a team. Like, he shouldn't be. He should be like he should be a great number 4. You know what I mean? Like, he's the kind of guy that, like, he's like God, Kind of like, you remember how we used to view Darren Helm? Like, when Darren Helm was a fourth-line center, we were like, oh my God, this guy needs to get more minutes. He's so fast. He's so fucking great. Like, he's so quick. He's all over every play. And then all those guys start disappearing. Datsuk retires. Fedorov goes away. All these actual players go away. And we're like, well, now all we have is Darren Helm. And he's not that good.
I think Stefan is a better player.
I'm not comparing Helm to Stepan. I'm comparing his role. Like, in terms of he's better, he's great when he's the sixth forward or the fifth forward.
But he wasn't the sixth forward on the Rangers. He was literally their number 2 guy, maybe
He was
3 in
number
the
3,
playoffs.
yeah. And 3's where you want him.
But before Zibanejad, he was number 2, and he performed well in the rules. I mean,
No, before Zibanejad, there was Dubinsky. And Dubinsky's better than Dubinsky in his prime is better than Stepan was, in my opinion.
I don't know.
I-
Off base on that one.
I don't agree with that.
I think Dubinsky is a more whole
Stefan
player.
can score.
Stepan is, he can
Dubinsky's
score.
a grinder.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I'd rather.
Dubinsky is the helm of less speed.
Yeah, that's probably true.
He's the energy guy. He's the Steve Ott that has a little bit better hands.
Hey, tread lightly. No, but Stepan, I just don't. I'm not a believer. Like, I just don't. I think you put him on Arizona, you're going to see a 17-goal season.
That'd be pretty favorable for that condition. He's probably going to be playing with Max Domi, so.
Yeah, Max Domi, who's still on his entry level.
And Arizona has some really good draft picks coming down the line. They have
Dylan Strome.
They have Chikrin, who's a really good defenseman.
Oh, yeah, Jacob Chikrin. Oh, we could have had him.
We
too.
passed on that one. Yeah, that was stupid.
Sure glad we
But
passed
then
on him.
we
again.
passed on him to go sign Daly and
Let's talk about Trevor Daley real quick. We've totally skipped over the Red Wings entirely.
Well, because there's nothing. I mean, there's really nothing to see.
They signed
here.
Trevor Daley.
Whoop-de-doo.
But there is
It's
something
not
to
gonna
speak
get,
here.
It's not
Let's-
going to get him back to the playoffs.
No, you're right. But let's pull them up here. We're on cap friendly, by the way, for the listeners at home. You want to follow along?
Can I just say that Trevor Daly, sorry, my Canadianism is just coming out today.
Beach
Daly. But he's literally Mike Green older with $3 million less of a cap hit.
True.
So you essentially, in the last year of Mike
He's only
Green's
2 years older,
deal,
too.
and essentially of Mike Green's deal, he signs the equal defenseman of older age, like skill, like type of defenseman.
I don't think so. Remember, Mike Green used to be elite. Trevor Daley was never elite as far as
You're right.
offensively.
You're right, but they're both about the same skill level now.
Well, yeah, that's that's a fair assessment. But Mike Green was elite. Remember, he scored 30 goals from the blue line.
True, you're right.
Trevor Daley has never sniffed that.
You're right, and they're both right-handed defensemen too, which is might add.
I mean,
That's a need.
It wasn't
for
need.
some reason.
It
The Red
wasn't-
Wings. That's like the Red Wings' Achilles. Getting a goaltender that can start and play well, and I need a right-handed shot on the point. Like, what is this?
Okay, here's the problem.
Need a
though.
right-handed. They need righties in the lineup. Period.
Here's the problem, though. Here's the thing we're skipping over completely. Like, yeah, great, you signed Trevor Daley, but now you have $2.28 million. Let me make sure I have this number correct. Yep, $2.278 million to sign Andreas Athanasiou and Thomas Tatar.
No,
Guess what's
that's-
not going to happen?
It's going to happen
How?
because Johan Franzen's contract gets moved to LTIR in September.
Oh no, this does not count his contract. This cap friendly adjusts for that. Do you see how Johan
Somebody's
Franzen's
getting
not down here?
traded.
Johan Franzen's not on this screen. He does not account for anything.
I mean, if they could get rid of one of their goaltender hits and maybe a Mike Green contract, done deal, easy. But we're speaking in logical terms where GM. Well, I don't know the way GMs are throwing around money. I don't think they would mind having a $6 million Mike Green.
yeah, well,
Send him
only
down
for 1 year.
Send him down to Arizona.
It's only for 1 year
Send him to Arizona
because he's a
later.
UFA next year. And you got
Send him to
Yes,
Arizona
yeah.
for a third-round pick. Bye. There's your $6 million to sign both of those players.
My
Because if you
God.
pay Tatar over $4 million a year, I would say over $3 million a year, you're overstretching.
Yeah, he scored.
Anthony maybe a $2 million deal.
He scored 20. Tatar scored 25 goals last year.
That's what I'm saying. Over $3 million, I think we're pushing it for that.
No, 25 goals gets you $4 million.
Gets
this
you
year.
4 and change, yeah.
that
Gets you
you
4.2.
It gets you 4 these days.
Yeah, it's like 4.2.
And maybe I'm speaking in the term of what I would sign it for.
Well,
I realistically,
I don't disagree.
You know what, Steve?
I don't
this
disagree.
is the problem we've run into on the show a lot. You forget to leave your logic behind.
You're right.
We've had meetings. I've had peer-to-peer reviews with you. I don't know how many times I have to tell you.
yeah.
Stop thinking with your fucking brain.
I didn't get that memo.
No, this is the NHL. You just do not use your brain. You just use you relieve your brain in your Ken Holland furrowed eyebrow.
You know what's going to happen, right? They're going to make some move. They're like this. It's going to the same thing that last year. Ken Holland goes out. He moves the Datsu contract. He looks like a god, and then he signs Siva. This is what he's going to do. He's going to move Mrazek or something, right? He's going to go sign Tatar for like $7 million.
Yeah, okay, that'd be great. But here's what you're facing then next year. You have to sign. Well, I can let Riley Sheehan go, but you have to sign. You have to sign Dylan Larkin.
Bro, Sheehan's going to put up 30 this year.
Dylan Larkin.
I can't even say it with straight face.
Dylan Larkin, Anthony Mantha, Ryan Sproul, and Peter Mrazek are all RFAs next year. So even if you do weasel out this year, and that Mike Green falls off next year. If you don't move Mike Green falls off next year. That's $6 million in free cap space, and that's it. There's no one else falling off. There's no other money going away. This is we're entering Fucksville next year.
I know.
Yeah, people thought this last year was bad. This next year is going to be worse.
And they think this year's bad. Like, people are like, oh, my God, we're not doing anything this year. Dude, next year we're going to be purging. Like, it's going to be like a model
We're
who just
bleeding money.
We're going to be a model in the bathroom of a Golden Corral. Just fucking blah, 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 just nonstop throwing up because there's no room and there's nobody falling off and everybody's signed forever and everybody's 1,000 years old. Like, this is, do you want it down or up? I can adjust for you a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Look at that Abdicator contract.
Oh, yeah, that Abdicator contract.
Oh, man.
Oh, Abdul Captain. Don't worry. It's going to happen. Abdul
God.
Captain has 4.25 for the next 6 years.
I'm not saying he's the worst GM in the league because that's debatable at this point. But what he's done the last 3 years has just been abysmal for this team.
Atrocious.
Yeah.
Like it's like up until a few years ago, I was kind of like, okay, we'll give this a chance.
And
like
then
the Mike,
Helm 3.8.
Like the Mike
Abdicator 4.2.
Like the Mike Green signing, I understand. It's like the same philosophy. You're going to overpay because you want him. Like, that's fine. Whatever.
Right.
To get him here. But then you go out and you have cap space last year to do something positive, and you wasted it. A lot of those pieces are not here anymore, which is great. I think 4 out of the 5 of those pieces aren't here anymore.
Nope, just stuck with Franz Nielsen.
Which, Franz Nielsen is Franz Nielsen. It is what it is. We're stuck with that. You're not going to move that. He can be somewhat of a decent player. Like,
he's Ray Shepard in 1993.
Yeah, like that is what it is. I can be behind that because it's like logically, it's like he's logically making things that made sense like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
it's like he's paying on talent for 5 years ago, even though currently even in the last year that New York Islanders deal he did not perform well with Jonathan Tavares. Like, he did not. No. He had a down year.
Yeah,
so it's like they go out and pay him for what he did 3 years ago, and that's what I hate about these contracts.
That
man.
was my point earlier.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's piggyback off of. Like, I just don't understand that.
Oh, I apologize. Johan Franzen is on this list at his 3.95454.
So take that off. You have like $5 million.
Yeah, but $5 mill's not enough to sign those two players.
And they just signed Wallet for like what, a 1 something?
Ouellette got 1.25.
Yeah, and that's a good deal because that's a good young defenseman that might break the lineup. That's crazy, right?
Probably not though. They just signed Trevor Daley.
Yeah,
because by the way, here's your defenseman from salary down: Mike Green, Danny DeKeyser, Nicholas Cromwell, Jonathan Erickson, Trevor Daley.
All those people
then
make
Xavier
over $4 million.
Yep. Then Xavier Ouellette.
Probably closer to 5.
Can we just buy out anybody over 30 who makes more than $3.8 million?
You still have a cap hit.
Yeah, I know, but I'll take entry level contracts.
It's 33% of the cap hit. I think.
I'll take it.
I think it's 30.
Yeah, but they're not going to do that because they're all good, gritty guys. Like, this team isn't going anywhere. Like, this.
Cronwell's on one knee.
Our show for the next 2 years is going to be very sad and very somber. Mm-hmm. Like, we're going to have to just face the dark.
Who knows? Maybe Mantha will come out and score 50 goals.
Oh God, wouldn't that be just awesome? Let's move away from the Red Wings because I don't want to think about it. Let's talk about the biggest signing of that's
what's going to happen
of all the free agents with the most money forever and all it. Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid signed today officially 8 years, $100 million. First time I've seen $100 million in what feels like a decade.
And this is the one that it's like, okay, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, this is the The $100 million contract is the one that I'm like, yeah, I get that.
Yeah, well, generational talent.
Term
speaks for itself.
Term of the contract too. It's a bridge deal.
It's a bridge deal from 20 to 28.
Yep.
Like literally that's the perfect deal.
That's the prime of his career.
This is a win-win for all parties here.
Mm-hmm. Well, except for the
fact that he came down a little bit too. Oh, a mil.
Yeah, except for the complaint you mentioned before when we were before in our pre-show where you were mentioning, they kind of fucked the team. They don't have a lot of cap space.
Well, I mean, that was...
Let's look at...
But then you got to leave it to your GM, Peter Chiarelli,
that was
do his job.
That was Chiarelli's problem. He signed Lucic to a massive contract, too. And
7 years, $42 million.
I mean, I don't think they had to sign him.
And don't forget, Nuge just signed for another 4 years at $6 million.
Yeah, and then they got rid of Jordan Eberle, so that made some room.
He's gone. Their current cap space is $17 million, but that does not count McDavid's contract. That is before his contract kicks in. This year, he will be making $925,000.
So next year is when he's going to have the issue. But look at the UFAs next year.
Yeah, next year they'll have $22 million in free agents, and they have to sign Darnell Nurse, Matthew Benning, Mark Fane, Jesse Puljujarvi. That's a big one.
Yep.
Drake Kigula, Anton Slepyshev, Patrick Maroon, Mark Letestu, and Ryan Strome.
That's the greatest name ever.
Ryan Strome they have to sign. That's a big one.
Yeah.
So they'll have room. They'll be able to make it work. Actually, you know what? You're right, Justin. I apologize. This is a good deal. 100%. They're set for a while. They got a good core to build around. There's very few people over 30 on this team.
Oh, yeah. No, they're going to... I mean, don't be surprised if Edmonton wins a cup in the next 3-4 years.
When did they get Andre Sekera? I forgot about that.
He's been on their team for a couple of years now.
Has he?
Yeah.
I literally just forgot he exists because he's making $5.5 million at 31 years old. He's probably not that good. They got Adam Larson making a nice team-friendly cap hit at 4.1. Oscar Klefbom 4.1.
Outside of Larson, he's their best defenseman.
And they got Chris Russell.
The one thing that's really interesting about this deal, and it kind of relates more to like my fan base, is the next person who's going to be up for a contract like that is Austin Matthews in like a year or so.
Yeah.
They're going to want to extend him. That's just a precedent right there. If he's making 10 or he's making 12 and a half a year, like what do you think if Matthews comes out and has another 40-goal season and the point total goes up even more?
Oh, I mean, as long as he continues to...
If he continues to do that, he's going to be making at least north of probably 9. He's going to be making Stammer money.
Well, I mean, if he continues to...
He'll be worth it.
Oh, my God. Words are escaping me. If he continues to increase his production for the next couple of years until his ELC ends, then you're looking at a $10+ million contract. But if he just ends up being 40-goal guy, then he's Stammer territory, not quite McDavid territory.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
Let's talk about another team up against it cap-wise, the Washington Capitals.
Oh my goodness!
You want to talk about backing up the Brinks for a couple of 30-year-olds?
What a disaster!
That's a team that currently have $5.6 million in cap space. They do have to sign Philip Grubauer. Their team is all set in terms of. I mean, they're lacking in defensemen. They currently only have 5 defensemen on the books
on the NHL roster. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to look in their AHL team. We're going to look at their development.
Well, I mean, they lost Nate Schmidt to Vegas.
They lost Carl Alsner to Montreal.
That was a big hit. Carl, I'm pretty sure they were parting ways with Carl Alsner.
Yeah,
like that was just kind of a done deal thing.
Yeah. Bye.
My biggest thing is they literally threw the money at Kuznetsov, and then they had to immediately trade somebody. And it was Marcus Johansson, who I think was a more integral piece than Kuznetsov, because Marcus Johansson, where he was slotted in the lineup, he made that team have way more depth. Yeah, they re-signed TJ which is a good deal. I like that deal a lot.
I do not at all. Not at 30 years old. I love TJ Oshie. He's one of my favorite players. 30 years old to get 8 years, 5.75 a year.
I like that deal better before Kuznetsov was signed.
Okay, I'll agree.
Is
with
that
you
fair?
there.
Okay,
Yeah.
So it's like you go out and you add these pieces. Their top 2 lines are loaded, but after that, it's after the Marcus
they only
Johansson
have
trade.
10 forwards.
Yeah, after the Marcus Johansson trade, they have nothing on their bottom 6 now.
Yeah, their entire roster is literally 16 people right now. Their NHL roster. I'm not kidding. It's
I know. I'm looking
people.
at it. It's like the lowest number we've seen. It just like it just bugs me because it's like I thought their GM was doing a really good job, and then he throws that kind of a term at Kuznetsov. I'm just like, what, dude? Your top line literally is like 2/3 of your salary cap.
You got $5.5 million to sign 4 players. And that's not to sign 4 players to like, oh, we need, this guy to do this. It's 4 players to fucking be able to play.
Yeah.
Like, 4 players to be able to play hockey. Like, they can't play hockey right now with this team as it sits. They literally could not. Let's play right now, watch the Capitals. Oh, fuck, we got to call somebody up from wherever the fuck our AHL team is. Like, Justin, we're keeping you sound. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. Players. I mean, I'm okay with a 4th line being ELC guys. I mean, it's your 4th line. Give somebody who's proven in the AHL that they can play gritty. They can play a 4th line style game.
Well, that's how Jake Getzel came to be, and Connor Sheary. Like, these are all just nobodies that Crosby makes. Fuck, make Ovechkin make somebody.
Well, then let it happen, and that's probably what they're planning on doing.
That's what happened with Kuznetsov. I mean,
yeah, and I mean, Kuznetsov's got talent, though.
Yeah, you're right. But is he worth like what, $7.8 million a year?
He's only 25, and he's Russian playmaker. He's a good player.
That's like that's the moneymaker in the NHL. Can they score and do they have talent? Are they from Europe? Let's throw money at them.
Are they from Europe? An important caveat.
Are they from Europe? And then they'll never win an NHL award because a Canadian's going to outdo them.
Yeah, don't worry. A Canadian will outdo them.
Nationalism, NHL style.
Oh, God, it's the
Don
worst.
Cherry.
Oh, pardon me.
This offseason has been, like, just interesting. Like, it's been probably one of the most we've had to talk about since we've actually started the show, which is so enjoyable. There's so much information to talk about. But a lot of these deals, it's just like, who cares?
I got 2 sneaky contracts to talk about.
Let's do it.
One, and they're on good and bad side.
Okay.
So we'll start with the bad. Sneaky bad, Steve Mason to Winnipeg. I don't like Steve Mason. He got $8 million for 2 years, 4.25, I believe, per year. Little high priced. They did, now to be fair, Winnipeg did need a goaltender that they knew could lock down. Like, not in terms of lock down the net. I mean lock down playing
some
60 games a year.
Yeah.
Because
We need a body.
Yeah, Pavelek wasn't getting it done, and Hellebuyck needs another couple of years probably. But the thing that always confuses me, if I'm not mistaken, Hellebuyck's also left-handed, correct?
Yes.
So I'm a believer that you should have one of each if you're going to have one. Like, if you're going to have a lefty, you should probably also have a righty.
I mean, it's fucking Winnipeg.
Yeah, I guess. But, well, speaking of fucking Winnipeg, they also made a sneaky move that I like in signing Dmitry Kulikov. Like,
Yes.
I like Dmitry Kulikov, and to get him for 3 years at 4.3, like, that's a good move. Because he put up decent numbers in Buffalo, which was trash last year.
Yeah, and a lot of it, too, is he was kind of injury prone at the beginning of the year. So he had some injuries he had to deal with. But outside of his injuries, he did play on Buffalo, which started well, but just did not finish season well. So I don't know. I think that was one that we kind of highlighted the last show we did, where we kind of talked about that would be a good signing, where we maybe see some teams kind of throwing it in there. But then I think him being in Winnipeg will help their defensive core, because I think the one thing, their defensive core is decent, okay? They have Tyler Myers, they have Big Buff, like, they have some guys back there. I think they still have Stewart, if I remember correctly.
Tyler Myers went to Buff. Oh, no, that was
It was the other way. He was on
switched.
Buffalo.
Yeah, Bogosian.
Yeah, it's Bogosian. But
Sorry.
I think them signing a guy at that age for that term just works. It's just a good deal. I like it.
Absolutely. No, their defensive
Mark
core is-
Stewart and Jacob Trouba. I
Yeah.
mean,
Jacob Trouba's great.
I know they should be. I mean,
And
last
now-
year it was. I don't know if it was the goaltending that let them down. I don't know what happened last year, but they should have been better than they were last
Mark
year.
Scheifele fell off a little bit. I think that was a big thing.
Yeah.
Like, Patrick Laine still produced, but Mark Scheifele fell off just a little bit, which I predicted to happen because you can't go at that pace. Like, there's no way.
Well, and the concussion didn't help.
And they're playing in the Central Division. Let's not forget. They play against Chicago, Minnesota, Dallas.
No, but they got some talent on that team. They got
They do.
Scheifele, Laine, Ehlers.
That's a borderline playoff team.
It should be. I mean, I'm not sure how much Mason helps that.
Not at all.
Who
If
knows?
we're being fair.
Who knows? Maybe he comes out and he has a decent year and they sneak in 7-8 seed, or wild card seed, whatever it's called now. That could happen, but it all depends on what Chicago does, what St. Louis does, what Minnesota does. Colorado.
Well, Chicago's cap compliant now somehow.
No, they're over.
No, they're still over.
They're still over. Don't worry. But that's without Hosa's contract, just like Franz in Detroit. Talk about another deal that
I was
almost...
going to say, talk about getting the band to get back together there. Jeez.
Let's talk about a deal that made Justin's eyes almost fall out of his head. Captain Game 7, Justin Williams signing in Carolina, getting $4.5 million a year at age 35 for 2 years, $9 million. Why? As Steve furrows his brow. Why?
I don't have the stats in front of me, but I think
I'm working on it.
okay.
You can
I think
tell me to look it up.
I think he put up 40, 50 points,
Something like that.
which
Well, I mean, wasn't he on a line with, Backstrom at one point? I mean, he was on a line with Backstrom and Ovechkin, so
I mean,
I could probably score 50 points on that line.
I
I'll just stand over here. It'll hit my stick and it'll go in.
for what I think for what they're paying him for, to be a veteran on the team, because Carolina they didn't miss the playoffs by much last year.
No, they were pretty close.
They're coming together. They've got a pretty solid roster now. They got Justin Falk. They got
Justin Williams had 48 points last year.
48
Close enough,
points.
see?
That's almost as many as Joe Thornton, and he got paid
plus 14, 15
$8 million.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, all right.
I just every time I hear $8 million, I just laugh because I'm just like, it's so stupid.
Right.
So
It
bad.
triggers me so hard.
It's so fucking bad.
But no, Carolina has they've got an up and coming team here. I mean, I don't
Jake
know.
Bean.
I don't know if Justin Williams is the piece that puts them over the top, but they've got Aho, they've got Skinner, who's coming along in
and
his
if
career
you don't know, their
quite
defense-
Who's
nicely.
their goaltender?
Didn't they get somebody?
Oh, it's Darling. That's they're
Scott
gonna
Darling.
They're going to be all right.
Scott Darling.
Oh, they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
I was like,
but
wait a
here's the
minute.
thing: don't look now. Carolina has sneaky good defense. Like they've
I
drafted
know. I
good
told you.
defense for a long
I
time.
mean, Justin Falk.
I know. I'm talking about the young
Noah
guys that we don't
Hannafin.
know. Hayden Fleury, Jake Bean, like those guys. They're not just good in the video game. Like the video game is based off of real life. They're scouted great. Jake Bean is a top tier player. Like they've had a top pick. Like they've had a top 10 pick sneakily each of the last 5 years.
Well, that's what happens when you're garbage forever.
But that's the thing is, but that's the thing about Carolina is that they're not the garbage that you like. It's not like Edmonton was, where Edmonton was like, oh, poor Edmonton. Like Carolina's bad, but nobody pities them. So they've been six
because they're in Carolina.
They've been 6 to 9 each of the last 5 years. I don't know those numbers off the top of my head, but I'm pretty close.
Right.
So they've been able to just sneakily oh, we'll take this guy and we'll take this guy, and they're just sneaky pulling all these soon to be top 5 defensemen.
Apparently, they're Chicago's AHL team. So
yeah, to
with
some
how much
extent.
they're sending literally Chicago's we got a cap dump somebody, send him to Carolina. Bye.
But no, I don't agree 100% with that Williams contract. I mean, 4.5 does seem a little excessive. Yeah, he does great in
He's
Game
Mr.
7.
Game 7.
I know he does great in Game 7, except for this last
It's not
one.
going to matter.
Except for the last one where the Capitals lost 2-0 and he didn't do shit.
Yeah,
Neither
and
did
you
their whole
know what's
team.
going to be the great part about Mr. Game 7? He's not going to get to play in one in Carolina.
Hey-oh! Oh, sorry. But yeah, no, that's they could make the playoffs though. They honestly could make the playoffs this year.
I could see them contending easily for a spot, being in the mix, instantly, because I think Scott Darling is underrated in some aspects. I think when he had to come in for
Corey
Corey
Crawford.
Crawford.
Yeah, sorry. Too many.
How dare you?
Yes, too many C's with the golden
Speaking
names.
of overrated,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's debatable.
By the way, worth noting another contract we're kind of skipping over here. Dmitry Orlov got 6 years, $30 million from Washington.
that just happened today, too, I'm pretty sure.
According to this, it happened on June 30th.
Psych, that was 2 days ago.
6 days ago.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Just kidding. It was a week ago.
just kidding, we suck.
Yeah, that was it was in the re-sign phase. I'm just looking at all the big contracts to make sure we covered all of them. Mike Condon re-upping with Ottawa as their 1B goalie because he's not a true backup because he's Anderson's getting a little up there in age.
I think Mike Condon's that's a good signing for them.
3 years, $7.2 million, $2.4 per year.
That's solid.
Yeah, Ben Street signed with the Red Wings.
I'll take that. Woo-hoo. I'll take that as a fringe starter.
I was going to say, who do you think won the offseason? Who do you think did the best here? With everything that just happened now, we can culminate everything, basically, because we're a week after free agency started. So a lot of the big names are kind of done. It's all going to be little finite signings here and there. I mean, Yager's still out there, but who cares about Yager? He's
you want to know who? Do you want to know
65?
Do you want to know real quick who's still out there?
Yeah, sure, why not?
You got Markov, Iginla, Weidman, Mark Streit, Beauchemin, Mike Fisher. He'll be re-signed by Nashville, though.
If he doesn't retire.
Drew Stafford, Brian Giunta, Milan Mikhailiuk, Yager, Jussi Jokinen. Not even going to talk about him. Johnny Oduya, and then garbage. Ribeiro, Scudieri, Cody Franson.
Half of the names you listed on there are garbage.
Cody Franson.
Dude, all the names you listed on there should be in a retirement home.
Ziggy Bob Mikhailiuk, Zbianek Mikhailiuk, Jared Cowan, Mark Stewart, Thomas Vanek, Matt Green, Jakob Kindle, Roman Polak, Yuri Hudler, mostly garbage players. And RFA is still to be signed. Ryan Johansson, Andre Palat, Tyler Johnson, Michael Granlund, Alex Galchenyuk, Thomas Tatar, Nito Niederreiter, Mika Zibanejad, Marcus Foligno. Although Marcus Foligno, I believe, will sign.
Nino Niederreiter going to get paid.
Robin Lehner, Calvin DeHaan,
Yeah, he
Zemgus,
He's going to get paid.
Zemgus Girgensons, Mark Pysyk,
Especially
Nathan
with all the
Beaulieu,
moves that Minnesota made. Yeah, he's going to get paid.
Leon Draisaitl.
He going to get
gonna
paid.
Get paid. So just and another David Pasternak is also worth mentioning. 70 points in 75 games.
Shit.
Sneaky points, yeah.
I didn't
David
realize
Pasternak is
Draisaitl had
very
77
good.
points.
Alexander Wenberg, 59 points in 80 games. That's a good, solid player. Scrolling further down, Bo Horvat, 52 points in 81 games, yet to sign with Vancouver. Radek Faksa, who I didn't know existed.
If we're being fair, 90% of these RFAs are probably going to go to arbitration.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, yeah.
It'll
Connor
be decided by
Sheary.
some judge.
Connor Sheary,
yeah.
sneaky points, 53 points in 61 games. So I just wanted to give you a brief list. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I wanted to give you
you're okay.
names to work with.
Like, who do you think has done the best? Like, now that we have the draft, we have free agency, we have the trades, we have the expansion. Who do you think has done the best right now?
I think the winners are Arizona and Dallas so far. I think those are our clear-cut winners. I mean, you've got Arizona, who has bolstered their defense. They've added some offense. They've gotten a goalie, similar to what Edmonton did last year with Talbot.
Mm-hmm.
They've upgraded their goaltending position with Ranta. They've upgraded their defense with Hjalmarsson. They've upgraded their offense with Stepan. They've got plethora of young talent there. I mean, and then Dallas, they signed Radulov, they signed Hansel, they signed Bishop. I mean, yeah, we don't know how much Bishop has left in the tank, but I would imagine it's still a good couple of years. So I think those are my two winners. What about you? You guys got winners, losers?
What do you got?
I haven't thought about my losers yet.
For me, it's undoubtedly Edmonton. I think Edmonton managing to sign what is probably going to be the best player in the league. Within the next 4 years, he will be the premier player in the league for top money.
Hey,
and
he won an MVP.
Yeah,
he's already the best player in the league.
So signing the best player in the league for 8 years, making sure that you get him to more or less publicly declare that your team is worth being with for 8 years, and managing to do so while having enough cap space. I mean, they still are working with $17 million in cap space. I mean, that's nothing to scoff at. Yes, you do still have to sign Leon Draisaitl. That's a lot of money that's going to come on.
But that's Crosby and Malkin. That's what it's going to be.
Exactly. It's Crosby and Malkin. You have a Crosby and a Malkin.
You build your team around that, you're golden.
And you got a goalie, too. Cam Talbot's great. So I'm all in on Edmonton. I like the Chris Russell signing. Got him at a good number. And I also I liked the Hall for Larson trade. A lot of people are on the other side of that. But I think Taylor Hall, while being a good player, I think he needs more of a supporting cast to succeed. Taylor Hall went to New Jersey. Adam Larson came back to Edmonton.
Year.
I know.
Okay.
I'm saying it because Adam Larson is $2 million less and signed for 3 years more. Taylor Hall is at $6 million and change.
And he actually served a purpose because they actually needed defenseman help.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is that Adam Larson solidifies that defensive core. They're not great, but they're good enough. And the offensive core more than makes up for it. And they're only going to get better as McDavid gets more experience and grows into his body a little bit more. So for me, it's Edmonton far and away. How about you, franchise?
I was going to say, Dallas was a good one. Definitely think Phoenix was a really good one.
Arizona,
no. Phoenix, whatever. So they play around that area. No, just kidding. I think one of mine, it's going to come out of left field a little bit, Nashville. Because I think what they did last year set up this year. They went to the Stanley Cup final. They didn't lose really anything except James Neal, but they added Nick Bonino.
They did.
They added Nick Bonino. They added some
on
sneaky
a good
pieces.
Term, too. On a good term.
Really good term.
They didn't overpay for Bonino.
No,
4 years, 4.1.
I mean, the only guy they had that's a mystery is Mike Fisher right now, but they still have probably one of the best defensive cores and goaltender combination in the NHL. They didn't really lose a lot, okay? Considering they just went to the Stanley Cup final and they were up against the cap. Losing James Neal probably helped them sign, Nick Bonino a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the good ones, and I would kind of say that I don't know if I even want to say this. I think New York making the Islanders making the trade that they did, I think kind of helped them push them to keep Jonathan Tavares a little bit. I don't think that for Jordan Ellerby is the end-all be-all going to be the greatest player in the world for Jonathan Tavares, but
Eberle has experience playing next to a guy like Tavares.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that puts him in a new spot. I think that's good for them. And you know what? Why not, And to be honest with you, I think those are probably but my clear-cut winner has to probably be, Arizona. It's just what he's done down there. Like I said earlier in the episode, is incredible. Now they need to. He's putting them in place. So now in the next 2 to 3 years, they need to win some games. They need to get into the playoffs at least once. They need to start pushing towards that level, so that then, other teams in the league can see it. That's how you build a team. You draft them, and then when you add small pieces in free agency via trade or whatever, that's how you win. Pittsburgh has done it the last 3 years. 80% of their roster is drafted players. It's insane. I was watching the Stanley Cup final. 80% of their roster is drafted players. They've won 2 Stanley Cups in a row. And I think Pittsburgh has done a good job recovering from what they've lost. So,
absolutely.
The only caveat of that I would say is their trade on the draft day when they traded for what's his face from St. Louis, Reeves. I didn't understand that at all.
Right.
I just don't. Everybody's trying to tell me he's not just a grind guy. He's got hands. I'm like, to hit people in the face, sure. But I mean,
me a second to process.
Where are you going to play him? You're not going to play him over Crosby.
No.
You know what St. Louis did? They signed Chris Thorburn, the enforcer from Winnipeg.
Yeah.
They just signed. They give up their enforcer for all sorts. They've got all sorts of assets.
Well, no,
for
they
this
got
enforcer, and then
they got somebody else from the draft too. Didn't they get what's his face, Philadelphia? Can't remember.
No, well, no, but what I'm saying is they pawned off their enforcer for some assets,
and then they just signed.
And then they signed another one for nothing.
It's smart
for nothing.
That's smart.
It's brilliant.
Let's by the way, real quick on Nashville. While I do agree with you that you have a good core and all that stuff, all your points are right. There is one weakness right now. They have $20 million in cap space. They have to sign Victor Arvidsson and Ryan Johansson, however you say that, on top of Austin Watson and Freddie Gaudreau and Pontus Aberg. So
they'll be able to sign that.
All those guys, okay. All those playoff heroes, though, you have $20 million, and Ryan Johansson's going to want term. Ryan Johansson's going to want 7 years.
You're not going to go pay Arvidsson $5 million. You're going to go out and pay him like a bridge deal.
Yeah, but Arvidsson might want like 4.
I don't think he's going to get 4. What's he making now?
I don't know. Entry level money. It doesn't show.
So it's probably $750 or $250 in that range. Is my guess.
Probably, yeah.
He's not going to go from that to making 4. That's not going to happen.
See, none of those names move the needle. I mean, the only names that move the needle on that list are Johansson and Arvidsson.
Yeah.
And those are the guys who are going to get paid. Like, I could see Arvidsson on your little bridge deal, 3-4 years, $5 million.
Yeah, something like that,
for what he's done this year. Johansson, he's going to get term, and he's going to get paid.
He's going to get like $7 or $6 million at least.
Probably closer to 8.
By the way, Arvidsson had 80 games played this season, 31 goals, 30 assists, 61 points.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's going to get. He's going to want 3 and change, probably 4. These are
4 and change is my guess.
And RFA.
I don't think their GM is going to be stupid to hurt his team here. Like he's got to be smart about it.
He might not, but Victor Arvidsson might think he deserves more because Ryan Johansson didn't have much better of a season.
Well, this is the thing about RFAs; they don't have a fucking choice.
Well, I mean, they do. You just don't play.
They go to that, or they pull a Jonathan Drouin and they get traded.
And the thing is,
make 6 a year.
Well, and the thing is,
sounds like a good idea to me.
Well, listen, when they go to arbitration, they base it off your career so far. Ryan Johansson has had a much more steady career than Arvidsson. Arvidsson broke out this year. Johansson broke out 3 years ago, and they're like the same age. So, like, when it comes to arbitration, which is what it'll likely get down to, Arvidsson gets 5, Johansson gets 8, just for track record.
That's exactly what I was saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only other honorable mention I was going to say was New Jersey. I think what they've done is okay. I'm like the Marcus Johansson trade kind of made me think a little bit more about it. They capitalized on that one real hard.
Kind of helps when you get the first overall pick.
I was going to say I think they made a good choice with the first overall pick. So I mean, a lot of people were slating Nolan Patrick, but I don't know. I think
can't really lose. You can't really lose with the first overall pick.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like
I heard he was in any draft. You can't really lose.
He had a deal to get rid of it to Dallas. I heard, but he didn't take it. So
wait, who? What?
To Dallas.
Who did?
New Jersey. He had it. They had offers to move. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was missed there. No, Lamoriello's not in New Jersey anymore.
Toronto.
He's in Toronto. I forget if they have anymore.
Yeah, that's what. Like when they signed Marleau for 6, I'm like, that's a Lou Lamoriello move. veteran $6 million.
Yeah.
Sound familiar?
Real quick to hit on New Jersey, they do currently only have 15 players on their roster.
And they have like 20 in cap space.
Oh, they have more than that. I think they got 22. Nope, 20. You're right. You're right again.
I looked it up right before we were talking about it.
You're a dick.
That's why I need the number.
They bought out Mike Camilleri. They bought out Devontae Smith-Pelly.
Camilleri went back to the Kings.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
And then they're still getting hit for an entire mortgage every year for Ilya Kovalchuk.
Which soon could be
No, I think he
over.
re-upped in Russia.
Really? I
Yeah.
heard that's still a thing.
The last article I read was that he was staying in Russia this year. But, you know, you're looking at Ryan Clough is still on the IR, long-term IR with $4.8 million.
They have a good youth structure. They just need a year or two to kind of pan out with the draft picks. I think they'll be okay.
Yeah.
But they kind of wasted Corey Snyder.
Yeah, it's a
I'm not
total
gonna
waste of
lie.
his career. He's 31 years old. He signed for 5 years at $6 million per year.
By the time
But he's 31
by the
years
time that
old.
team could be decent, he's going to be 36.
Easily. He's
Maybe
going to have
35.
he's got Henrik Lundqvist syndrome.
Yep.
Like, you're going to be the best goalie with the worst team in front of you for a long time. You're going to be Pekka Rinne.
Although Hendrik Lundqvist was never a backup.
That's true. But Corey Schneider was a backup to Roberto Luongo. Like,
Yeah.
if Henrik
That goalie
Lundqvist-
tandem went to the Stanley Cup final. Pretty sure, right?
Yeah, they did. But then they lost. But they did go to the Stanley Cup final, but like I'm not saying that.
Oh, captain, my captain.
Yeah, but I'm saying it in the sense of if fucking who's the goalie I just compared him to?
Lundqvist?
No. Well, yeah, if Lundqvist had come into the league when Roberto Luongo was, if they had been the same age, he would have been backing up Roberto Luongo too. Like that's not a testament against Schneider's skill. It's Schneider was wrong place, wrong time. Like that's really what it is.
Which is why he got traded, because
Yeah, they got assets for him. I forget who they got for him. It's not relevant, but
it really isn't right now.
But
Most of those trades don't even pan out for the assets anyway.
Well, we've done the positive
Right.
side. Who's the loser of the free agency this year?
This is a tough one.
No, it's not. It's the NHL.
San Jose.
Well, it's always the NHL.
It's the it is.
It's always the NHL in the NHL.
Okay, so
about the
team.
NHL.
Which team was the loser then? Okay,
I would say San Jose. That's instantly one I would think of. And two, I would say Chicago.
really.
Because although I like the trade they made, it'll be more. I'll say it's subjective to whatever happens with the Hossa thing. I'll put it on that, because them signing Patrick Sharp when they still have a $5 million cap hit from Marian Hossa, I just kind of like, why? You know, they traded Panarin, which okay, whatever. I can try to get behind it. I can see the reasoning for it. I read the contracts about it because Panarin's going to want to get like $8 or $9 million from Columbus, but who knows? I think what they need, they definitely need defensemen. They definitely need to kind of have.
Well,
that
they currently only have 5.
Yeah, the problem is though you're paying your top 2 a lot of money, and they moved
$21 million combined.
They moved Hjalmarsson, which is good.
Hjalmarsson.
They moved him, so they got some cap relief. But like I said, a lot of it's hinging on what happens with this other thing. If they can figure something out with that, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But if anything, I think they didn't get as good after the Panarin trade. I think they got worse with the Panarin trade. Personally, I think.
I agree. I was going to say that because the thing is, if you look at Patrick Kane's career numbers, they're good, and then Panarin shows up and he's the best player in the league for 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't think that's it's the inverse of Sheary and Crosby, where Crosby makes Sheary, Panarin made Kane. Like Kane was great, but Panarin made him that much greater.
And Panarin is
Saad's not going to do.
Panarin could be a generational talent. He could be.
Well,
Who
and the
knows?
other thing, yeah, he could. But he's too old too. He's also 27.
Yeah, and like I said, a lot of it had to do. I know they were trading him because of cap, and it made sense. Blah blah blah.
He got
like,
3 years younger.
Brendan Saad is like a good dude. Like I think he's a good player.
Great player.
He's a great player. He got them Stanley Cup. Like he was integral into that line with Hossa, Saad, and him, or Taves and him. So like that was good. But I'm starting to feel like maybe they're falling apart a little bit because they're getting worried. They're panicking. They're like,
You
okay,
get desperate.
yeah, they're getting desperate a little bit because they want another Stanley Cup, which is cool. That's great to see a team like we're going to make a crazy move because we want to win a Stanley Cup. Like you don't really see GMs making brash moves like that.
No.
Which kudos, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I can jump on the bandwagon of saying Chicago. San Jose is definitely another one. Justin, where do you stand on this?
I think the Panthers lost.
Ooh,
That's an understatement. The expansion draft. That is an
They
understatement.
but yeah, that just
They
combined
had-
with everything.
They had every rate and every way to keep Jonathan Marchessault. They just had to make a trade, and then they go and trade.
How do you not? I want to know how you don't protect a 30-goal scorer who's making $750,000. How do you not protect that guy?
And then turn around and trade. They have a problem scoring. They traded their 2 top goal scoring outside of Jágr away. They're like, oh, you want to take Marchessault? Here, we'll just give you somebody else too. Why not? Like, just take him. But I mean, I kind of get the Riley Smith one because his cap hit was stupid. It was like some $5 million, I think, a year he was making. So like they got out of the cap room, but then you lost your goal scoring for nothing.
And then they signed Radim Verbata, who's like 1,000 years old. And then this Evgeny Dodonov guy who nobody knows anything about.
I think the Dodonov will be okay. I'm more concerned with the Verbata because Verbata I think is good, but he's getting older. He's gonna in Arizona. I think he did pretty well. He did, but like I said, he's getting older. So I don't know what the hell Dale Talon is doing in Florida, dude. Like I just don't.
Like,
as soon as that expansion draft happened, I was just like, I was talking to him. I was like, what just happened? Like I can't figure
Jonathan
this.
Marchessault puts up 30 goals for your team. He's not good enough to be protected.
No, wait. Also, please take Riley Smith. Please take him.
That's
too.
what I'm saying. Like you took our highest goal scorer, and then we're gonna throw you our second highest goal scorer for free, basically.
Make sure
for free
to make sure you take our highest goal scorer.
Yeah.
That's the important thing to remember that we totally skimmed over and all that.
And this is crazy.
Hey, I know you might want to take like this guy who only had like 13 goals last year. But what if you took this dude who had 30 and we'll package and we'll package him with another guy who scored 20. And he's signed for 5 years and he's right in the prime of his career and he's only $5 million a year.
And you know what's even crazier? This is the same guy who drafted
Vegas
Jonathan Taves and Patrick Kane.
And Vegas was like, I mean, that's a tough bargain you're running me.
George
McPhee
probably is like faxing him. Was like, "Are you serious?" question.
They just
and he's
yes,
sitting here just
all of the yes.
He's sitting here maniacally laughing with everybody in Vegas. Like we're just gonna take him over on
seriously.
this one.
There's a voicemail somewhere where Dale Talon's just like, "I'll suck your dick. Whatever you need, please take my 2 best players." Like it doesn't make any sense.
Dude, their top line is Jonathan Marchessault, James Neal, and Riley Smith. Like that for an expansion team is pretty good.
So now you have
that's solid, yeah.
So now you have Jonathan Huberdeau, Alexander Barkov, and Vincent Trocheck, who are all they're all on
nice,
24.
They're all nice players. They're all nice players.
They're
but
all complimentary to this is one of those.
They were complimentary to the pieces they moved.
There is no the sum is not greater than the whole kind of thing. Like you can't make a meal of rice, green beans, and stuffing. You need something there to give you some substance. You know what I mean? And these are not the guys to do it. This is rice, green beans, and stuffing. They're all solid, but none of them are like turkey. Like you can't have fucking dinner without a meat. Like, even if you're not if you're a vegetarian, you have a primary focus of what your meal is. You know what I mean? You don't just make sides just because you don't eat meat. Like, your primary focus is there's a primary focus, and this is something that teams like Florida don't seem to understand ever. And anytime they get close to it, they kick him out of town, and then they sign Roberto Luongo again. Like, every time that they get close to it, they just sign Roberto Luongo. I just don't
That's
get
what I
it.
was gonna say. I guess the positives, they still have Roberto Luongo
At 38 years old for $4.5 million for the next 5 years.
For another 1,000 years, yeah.
And hey, don't worry,
Vancouver,
because James Reimer's there too.
right.
At $3.4 million for the next 4 years.
So $8 million in goalies at this point in their career.
Yeah,
touche.
Reimer's like a step above.
I
Meh.
can get behind that.
He's like miggity meh.
But then when you take Roberto and you mix it together, it's meh.
Yeah. Oh no, because Roberto's below meh. So it's like meh.
It's
evens out to
averaging of
meh.
mehs.
It comes back to meh.
Meh.
We're averaging. The law of averages of meh.
So yeah, the Panthers are my loser, hands down.
I don't disagree. Like, that's the thing. I wish I could come up with a disagreement, but I got
like how
nothing.
we had unanimous San Jose, and then we each had like one where like, yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Well, the thing is with the because
Oh yeah, the Red Wings are my loser too.
well, yeah, but they didn't lose free.
That's
agency
like
'cause they-
default.
Yeah, that's
Well, I mean, they didn't.
No,
lose,
you know what? You
we're-
go home.
No, this was off season in general. That was the question, right?
Yeah.
The question
It
was
was.
who lost the off
That's
season.
how I structured it,
The
yes.
Red Wings lost the off season too. They were a loser too. I mean, you drafted nothing but size when the league is getting smaller and faster.
true.
To be fair, the guy they drafted in the first round can skate though. 6'6", he can skate.
I've read multiple
I've read some he can.
I've read some he
can't,
can, some he can't. Exactly. Like the scouting director says that he can skate, but I've read pundits who say he can't. So it's like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But
I think a little bit does, because if you pair him, say he develops enough and you can play him with Mantha, that's a pretty nice line.
yeah, but you're looking at Martin Hansel 2.0.
Maybe.
Or the Anaheim Ducks 2.0. I have a bunch of big guys that can't get you past the second or third round.
Wee. Well, it doesn't matter because none of these guys are going to play for 17 years anyways.
Yeah, I can't wait to see them all
You're
in
right.
2032. When I'm 51 years old.
We were doing so well with positivity, just having a good spin ball, and then
Oh no, we're
Justin's
having a
like
blast.
Red Wings, and it's like doom.
They're a loser of the offseason.
No,
and then
you're
you
right.
sign Trevor Daley for no reason when you have all of the defensive depth
If you
all
listen-
the defense in the minors that you need to play.
If you listen to his quote, Detroit's a lot like Pittsburgh was last year.
Who?
Trevor Daley said that. Detroit has the same pieces
You know,
as Pittsburgh
if I was
did
that
last year.
age in my career coming off a Stanley Cup and a team was going to have $3 million, I mean, I'd probably say something the same.
Yeah, I'd just be like, oh, yeah, no, they're totally a cup contender. Whatever the fuck I got to say. I got a hooker waiting for me, guys. You got to shut the fuck up. I got Emily Radikowski in my room. I gave her $700,000 just to stand near me. I have that kind of money now. I have fuck you money.
That's like when Radulov going down to Dallas. Yeah, we're a Stanley Cup contender. Yeah,
Sure,
I would be
why
saying
not?
that making about $6 million a year too.
Yeah, you'll say most things to make reporters go away.
Yeah.
Like, and most reporters are dumb enough to believe it and write it down. Or most reporters are paid to be dumb enough to believe it to write it down.
Oh, he said they were contenders.
He said they're just like Pittsburgh. Even though we hated them 8 years ago,
I
now
think-
we're just like them. I'm so excited.
I think I remember reading that too at some point and just dismissing immediately, like, well, that's somebody just misquoted that. I just swipe away on the article, like, no, we're good.
It's real.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. it is.
Unlucky.
Wow. What an off season, huh, guys?
This whole Vegas thing totally fucked everything. Like it's been crazy.
Kind of.
It's been fun to follow.
Yeah. I
No,
would,
that's for sure.
it's added some unnecessary, like, excitement. Because it's like, we're going to take this player. Just kidding. 3 minutes later, we traded for this instead.
So how long until Seattle?
I would say 3.
I'll
3,
say
4 years?
after the NHL apocalypse of the strikeout.
They're going to just
Or the
gonna
lockout.
expand it to 17 teams.
Yeah, why not? No, they'll contract to 17 teams, but one of them will be Seattle. Somehow. We'll purge Florida. We'll purge Carolina. Hartford won't get a team. but
Florida
everybody
changing
else-
its location is not going to make that team any fucking better.
Oh, no, purge. Cancel. You're no longer a team.
Just-
You move on.
Here you go.
Move Arizona to Seattle. Call them the Seattle Coyotes.
The Seattle Metropolitans.
Oh, God. The Seattle Mets?
Metropolitans.
That's what the New York Mets are.
That's what I heard.
Oh, really?
Preliminary, that's what I heard.
Where did you hear this? Who's your source?
The internet.
Oh, I thought you were just talking about like you walking through a street like, hey, yo,
A blog.
psst, hey.
Which can be...
You looking
can we
for
just-
information on
Can be honest
Seattle?
really quick? A team in Seattle just sounds like really fucking stupid. It just does.
I don't think so.
Because of the area. You're dominated by Vancouver Canuck fans already. Try going into that area. It's like putting a second team in Toronto. What? Why?
It would sell out. That's why.
Might sell out because of hockey,
Yeah,
but
that's all you need.
your fan base wouldn't be near... You're competing with Toronto.
Yeah, but you don't. No one cares. You need money.
They have
But
the
look what,
Tri-City
look, what,
Americans, bro.
look what Ottawa's doing, though. Like, Ottawa barely has a fan base.
Yeah. There's a bunch
Ottawa's
of
in
teams
the
you could purge right
same
now. You could purge Florida,
Providence.
Carolina, Ottawa. You could purge.
No, you can't purge anybody from Canada. You
Okay,
can't.
sorry.
'Cause
You could
I mean,
purge
it's
them.
hockey.
You could move Ottawa to Quebec.
Fair enough.
You could
I'll give you that.
purge
I'll give you that.
Florida.
Why
Move
don't you just
Carolina
move
to
Florida
Hartford.
to Quebec?
Because Ottawa is already in Canada, and if you add another Canadian team, that's not good.
Why not?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Does
no,
that
seriously,
sound-
Because they only
I'm
have
down
7,
with this
right?
idea. Let's purge the
Like
league
6.
down to 20 teams. That way, all the
You
teams
can
will be
purge
supreme
Arizona, you
talent,
can purge
and it'll
Colorado.
be great hockey to watch.
You could purge.
You can't purge Colorado. They've won Stanley Cups.
Okay, but they're purged. You could purge probably. No, they sell out. They don't have any other sports. That's Columbus. You could purge Columbus.
Not anymore.
No.
Why?
Where's that talent going?
You move them around. That's the thing. You make a better league with more talent on more teams.
Yeah, that way you don't have Thomas Yurko playing for the Blackhawks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, That's me. I'm all for a smaller league. I don't need a 35-team league. There's no.
That's what I said. 20 teams. That
Purge
way,
Vegas.
That way, third and fourth lines actually have skill on them.
I think I'd be okay with 28. Make it even 14 on each side. I'd be okay with that.
I'll take 24.
And all the propositions that I've heard for realignment and like downsizing is 28's the number that I've heard.
I like 24, but I get you.
Like just even number both sides. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
this weird like 31 like 15 on one, 16 on the other. It's like they have to either subtract one or add one to make this work.
Yeah, but they'll just keep doing it for a couple years
Yeah,
instead.
It is
because
what it
none
is.
of us are going to fight enough.
I mean, when the buy-in for an NHL franchise for Vegas was $500 million,
Yeah.
you got to have money. It's a money sport.
Speaking of money sport, we have to explain something a little bit here now that we're kind of at the end of our show. Unless you guys wanted to explore anything further.
No, I think free
I don't mean to
agency we
speak.
covered. This is a
We're
cool
at
free
an hour
agency
and a
show.
half.
Yeah.
This is
I like it.
a lot longer than our normal because
Yeah.
we're all here. It helps.
Yeah, I think this is a great show.
Okay, so real quick, we need to explain to our listeners because there is going to be a change started on Monday, and it will be permanent going forward because we have expanded to the point where we can't put all of our shows on one feed. If you listen to us, you already know this because you've told me personally. Listeners have told me personally. You know, hey, I like your show, but it's really hard to subscribe when I get a download every day. And look, I love Sports Radio Detroit. I love all of our shows. I say listen to us all every day, but I understand where you're coming from. Not everybody's phone has 64 gigabytes of memory to auto download a show. Not everybody wants to delete an episode every day. I totally get where you're coming from. We've heard your requests and your opinions, and we've decided to expand to 3 networks. Those 3 networks will be reach for it. Those 3 networks will be if you were listening to any of our Detroit-based shows, those will be over on Sports Radio Detroit Prime. It's our original network. It's exactly where you've always looked. That will be for all of our Detroit sports shows. Anything to do with specifically Detroit sports, not national, not addressing national in almost any way. That's if you only like if you like listening to more or less, if you like listening to the Ticket, that's our answer to the Ticket. That's Detroit sports focused. One of our new branch off networks will be called SRD Pop. That will be what is part of what we're calling SRD Productions going forward. Which covers our pop culture spectrum. It's you got your over under fairs, your laugh tracks. Got a political show, got a phone ringing in the studio, got a wrestling show, and then of course my other show, Fanarchy. And then our third network will be known as SRD Talk. It is for national sports talk, or primarily national sports talk. That's where you're going to find your Out of Bounds, the SRD Road Show. It's where you'll find us here on Pucking Around. We are a national hockey show. We'll give you that link when we get it. It'll be up on this post. If you found this post through sportsradiodetroit.com, you already have the feed. Subscribe there to get us every week. You'll get a lot of good national content there. We have a horse racing show. We have a UFC show, and we have, I believe, a soccer show. We're kind of covering all across the board. We're working on getting more. But I didn't want you looking for us on the SRD feed where you already get us, because we won't be there. We may be there this week, but we'll expand.
Yeah, I was going to say probably through this week we'll probably be there then. I mean, we're taking a break for the rest of the summer because obviously there's nothing else to really be talking about now.
Yeah, this will be our last show until what, September-ish?
I would say probably first, second week of September.
Yeah, maybe even
Kinda like a
October if nothing
preseason
really
show.
gets going. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
like a check-in and then back in October kind of thing.
Yeah.
But this is our kiss-off for summer or send-off for summer. That's why we're all here, because we wanted to get together, have one last show, and then go off and have our summers and have our romantic flings or whatever we do.
I mean, we might, and don't get us wrong, we might come back with a show here or there if there's like 6 blockbuster trades or something. But other than that,
Yeah,
if it's a quiet summer, don't expect anything from us.
Yeah.
if Evgeny Malkin finally gets freed from Pittsburgh, we may do an emergency broadcast. But as it stands right now, this is the end of season 2 of Pucking Around, or season 1 of Pucking Around, season 2 of the 3 of us working together. We'll be going into season 3 next year, and I'm actually excited because now we're kind of right where I want to be as a group. But yeah, pay attention to the feed information I've given you. Check back in with us next week, or check back in with the feed next week. You might find it looks completely different before, and you can subscribe. Speaking of subscribing, you can subscribe to us on iTunes. If you're not into iTunes, you can check us out on TuneIn, Podbean. I mean, you know where we are. You already found us. We're also on Stitcher, Facebook, Google Play. We're kind of everywhere. You can follow the brand on Twitter at Sports Radio DET. Our inactive Twitter is STW_SRD. I don't tweet there. No one does. At some point, we may start doing it again, but
Probably
for
when
now,
the season starts.
Yeah.
I'll probably take that reins and manage that
I
one.
might just pass that one off. You can follow me on Twitter at JMPinkham. You can follow Justin on Twitter at
Goalieman SRD.
and you can follow Steve on Twitter at
Franchise GFX.
Check out our website at sportsradiodetroit.com. Thank you, and we'll see you guys in the fall.